Hi there, you're listening to the Trading Through Coronavirus, brought to you from Business West with me, Nigel Barker. Now, one of the business phenomena of about the last 10 years is the growth in shared workspaces or incubation hubs, call it what you will. And they've been particularly popular amongst the creative and tech sector, with startups and small businesses using these spaces both as workspaces, also but as collaboration hubs. But this is an industry that's started to see a few problems since the coronavirus pandemic took hold. I'm joined on the line now by Ben Shorrock, who's the MD of TechSPARK in Bristol. Ben, what issues is the industry facing at the moment?
So the industry is facing a whole series of problems. One of the big things about the creative and tech sector is that it's made up of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small innovative companies. And as you say, many of them sit in spaces which are co-working and collaborative. One of the challenges with that is that they fall through on some of the gaps in government support, particularly if they are in those spaces. So they fall through a technicality where they don't have access to some of the grants that other organisations have, which is a real challenge if you're a tiny business.
So in what way are they not qualifying for the grants? What's the sort of the factor there?
So if you are a small business and you're in what's called a managed workspace, you tend to pay your rent and all of the service costs and the business rates all in one bundle. So you put in your rent, you pay that, and the landlord sorts everything out for you, which is really important if you're a small business. What has been called the Corona Small Business grants are dependent on you filling out a form, which is called the Small Business Rent Form. And that is to do with whether you pay business rates and whether you're exempt. If you're in one of these organisations, chances are you've never filled out the form because you don't have to, so that you're not eligible for that grant anymore. So we have hundreds and hundreds of small businesses who have no income and can't get a grant because of a technicality, really.
Now, as TechSPARK, I know that you are trying to raise awareness of this issue. What have you actually done to try and bring this to the forefront?
So TechSPARK is an organisation that represents lots of companies here in Bristol and Bath in the tech and creative industries. We've been working with a number of our partners to raise this issue, and one of the things we wanted to do was give an opportunity to show how big a problem it was. So we created an open letter that company directors could sign if they were affected by this. And in just over a week, over 400 small businesses in the city have signed that letter to show that it's affecting them.
And who are you going to send that letter to?
We need to take this information and the hundreds of businesses who are affected, and we need to put that information in front of the right people in government. So locally, we'll be speaking to people like Marvin and the leaders of the other local authorities. We'll be speaking to the combined authority whose job is to help build the economy. And we're speaking to a number of central government ministers, both the small business minister and the digital minister, to say, this is a problem for our sector.
And what essentially are you asking them to do?
What we're asking them to do is make a small change. We're asking them to say, we know these businesses pay a contribution towards their rates. They just haven't filled out a form. So can we go back and can we show those businesses that have contributed, and can we give them that money? So we're not asking for something that they wouldn't be entitled to anyway. We're asking them to get rid of a technicality.
Now, a lot of businesses I know are taking or negotiating rent holidays. Is that happening in your sector?
Absolutely. So a lot of the landlords have themselves been doing all that they can to help the small businesses. Our landlord has offered us 50% off the rate, which is great. There is a challenge, though, in that a lot of the businesses who are in these types of hubs, the hubs themselves aren't organisations with huge corporate partners, so they don't have the leeway to not take any rent. So it's a challenge across the sector, and if those hubs go, there's going to be a real challenge for as we come out of this crisis for how we regrow.
So a challenge for the businesses that are actually occupying the hubs, but also a challenge for the hubs themselves to actually maintain a viable business model if you've got a bunch of businesses that can't afford to pay you rent or ultimately are going bankrupt. Do you think that this presents a little bit of an existential crisis for the incubation hub and shared workspace industry as a whole?
It absolutely does offer an existential crisis. In the Bristol and Bath city region, the tech and creative sector has grown exponentially in the last few years. Some of the most successful businesses, people like Immersive Labs and Ultra Haptics, have all come through these hubs. If those hubs aren't there offering support, lots of those businesses will never get to that stage. So this isn't something that is a crisis for the next 3 months. This is something that would impact the city region for the next 10 years.
So in effect, it's an industry facing a double whammy of crisis. Thanks very much to Ben for bringing us up to speed on that. And if you are a business that's affected by this issue, whether you're a tenant in an incubation hub and you're struggling, through cash flow issues at the moment, or if you're actually running a space yourself and you've got the other side of the problem whereby businesses can't afford to pay you rent, we'd like to hear your story. Get in touch with us, tradingthroughcoronavirus.co.uk, or follow the hashtag tradingthroughcoronavirus. See you soon.